Hey guys, I'm Steph and welcome back to my beauty stash. Today I'm going to be trying out the brand new Charlotte Tilbury Look of Love face palette. She recently released this, I want to say 2 days ago, 3 days ago on her website. This is an all-inclusive palette, meaning you are going to get a bronzer, a face powder, a highlighter, and some eyeshadows. Everything you need to do almost a full face of makeup. This palette retails for $75 right now on her website. I'm not too sure if this is available as of right now in her other retailers, but I'll update you guys down here or in the description box if I can find that out during the editing phase of this video. So I ordered this straight from her website. It retails for $75 and I have a problem. My palette came broken. This highlighter has gone everywhere and it was in the box and it's all over my hands. So yeah, I just want to be careful. Now this palette comes in 2 different shades. It has one for like fair to light skin tones and then there's one for medium to deep skin tones. I got the one for fair to light skin tones and it has her bronzer right here. It has a face powder, a blush, it has a highlighter, and then the 3 eyeshadow shades that are at the top. And they're all labeled. Like it says, well, this one did say 1, and then 2, 3, and it tells you what it's for. And I like that she labeled it, especially for somebody who's maybe new to makeup, who doesn't really know what goes where. I mean, she tells you, she gives you all the instructions you need right here in this palette. Now, obviously, it's a very neutral palette, and I don't want you to feel like you have to use like the cheek shade only as blush. You can feel free to use that as eyeshadow if you want to do that, as well as the highlighter shade. Don't just think, oh, I just need to put that on my cheekbones and that's it. Definitely add it like as an inner corner highlight, add it to the lid, to the brow bone. I mean, you use this palette as you see fit. The packaging is really nice. I do have the plastic on it still because I'm obviously gonna be sending this back. I don't want a $75 broken palette. So hopefully customer service can either refund me or replace it, whatever we can do to fix this situation here, which by the way, I've not been having good luck with palettes. My 2 BH Causemetics palettes came broken and now this palette came broken. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm not going to have the kind of pictures I wanted to show you guys, but at least I was able to swatch it, and those swatches are going to be indoor lighting swatches. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury, the $75 Look of Love face palette. Now let me show you what I thought of when I saw this palette. I knew that Milani had recently released these all-inclusive, all-in-one face palettes. Like the Charlotte Tilbury, this Milani palette contains everything you need for a full face, minus the face powder. This one doesn't contain a face powder shade, but you definitely have your blushes. And here they give you 2 different blushes, which this one is a very shimmery type of blush, which could definitely be used as a highlighter, or again, you can use it as an eyeshadow, whatever you want. You do get a bronzer, that you have your shadows going up the center, and then you have your highlighter over here at the top. You wanna know how much this palette cost? 15 bucks. And I had gotten an email. You know what? This is funny, guys. Let me just tell you a quick little story. I got an email the day that this palette was released, but before that I saw this palette was released from Milani, just advertising that their face palettes were on sale for 20% off. I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. You know, I had seen those, but you know, this really wasn't something that I was like, oh yeah, I want to pick it up. I want to try it out. It was just like, okay, you know, I have this stuff already in my stash. Then like maybe 10 minutes later, I looked on Instagram and this palette was making the rounds, the one from Charlotte Tilbury. I was like, wait a minute, I just saw Milani's palette, which is this one right here, and it looks almost identical. So I thought, you know what? This is a sign. This is a sign for me to get them both, try them out for you guys, and see which one performs better, see how the shades compare to one another, and what the best option would be for you. So I had no desire, unfortunately, to buy the Charlotte Tilbury face palette. I have her bronzer, I have the powder, I have some of her eyeshadows already. The only thing I don't have with Charlotte Tilbury is a blush, so I'm thankful that I'm going to be able to try out a blush. But, you know, those real colors really don't speak to me as much as like a colorful eyeshadow palette does. Likewise with this one, you know, I have a lot of Milani blushes. I have several Milani highlighters. I have Milani bronzer, new Milani bronzer as a matter of fact. And I have a few Milani eyeshadow palettes that I'm sure contain these 3 shades that are in this palette. I just didn't feel the need to have this for myself. But because I'm a YouTuber, because I try out makeup, I thought, you know what? You guys probably want to see this, and hopefully I'm right. So this video is definitely for all of you out there who are wanting to see these 2 palettes compared side by side. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Definitely leave me your comments. First, I'm going to show you the swatches that I did of both of these palettes, and I'll put them up side by side so you can see what they look like. Then we'll get into the demo, and I'm going to do this side Milani and this side Charlotte Tilbury. And then I'm going to come on and give you my thoughts, my review, and let you judge for yourself which side you think is best. So if you want to see the new Charlotte Tilbury Look of Love palette versus the Milani all-inclusive palette in action, keep on watching. So before we get started, I just want to tell you really quick what I already have on my face. I am wearing the Nabla Skin Realist Beautifying Tinted Balm, and I have the shade Light 2. I'm also trying out the new Urban Decay. This is the All-Nighter Translucent Setting Powder. I have this in my T-zone and a little bit over here on my cheeks. I'm wearing my new Thrive Causemetics Buildable Blur Concealer. This one is in the shade Fair Warm. And then the mascara I'm going to go in with on both eyes is also going to be the new one from Thrive. Actually, no, new to me. It's not new to Thrive. This is the Thrive Causemetics Liquid Lash Extensions. It is a 2-bean mascara, and I used it yesterday. Absolutely loved it. So those are the items I already have on. Oh, and on my lipstick. My lipstick is new. This is the NYX Lingerie XXL Lip Color. And this is like a matte liquid lipstick, and the shade is called Peach Flirt. So now let's get started with this demo. First, I'm going in with the bronze shade in the Milani palette, and I'm using a BK Beauty 107 brush. Now I'm going in with the bronze shade in the Charlotte Tilbury palette, and I'm using a rephr 05 brush. Now I'm going in with the matte blush shade in the Milani palette, and I'm using a Morphe E4 brush. Now I'm taking the blush shade in the Charlotte Tilbury palette, and I'm using a rephr 04 brush. Now I'm going in with the highlight shade in the Milani palette, and I'm using the Morphe M501 brush. Now I'm using the highlight shade in the Charlotte Tilbury palette, and I'm taking that on a Nabla Cosmetics highlighter brush. Now I'm taking the bronzer shade in the Milani palette on a BK Beauty 206 brush, and I'm using that as a transition shade all through my crease, just making sure to really blend it out and make sure to buff out the edges.
Now I'm going in with the Eye Smoke shade in the Charlotte Tilbury palette, and I'm using a rephr 01 brush to really deepen up the crease, and the shade is going to act as my transition shade as well. Really make sure to buff out that shade. No one can do it like you. Now I'm taking the top shadow shade in the Milani palette, and I'm using a BK Beauty 203 brush to apply that all over the lid. Now I'm going in with the blush shade in the Charlotte Tilbury palette, and I'm using a rephr 02 brush to pack that all over the lid. Now I'm taking the middle shadow shade in the Milani palette on a damp Morphe M205 and just placing that on the center of the lid. Now I'm going in with the first shade in the Charlotte Tilbury palette on a damp rephr 28 brush, and I'm packing that on the center of the lid. Now I'm taking the highlight shade in the Milani palette on a damp Morphe M431 brush and applying to the inner corner. Now I'm going in with the face highlight shade in the Charlotte Tilbury palette, and I'm taking a damp rephr 03 brush and applying to the inner corner. Now I'm going in with the bottom shadow shade in the Milani palette. I'm using a Morphe M431 just to run along the lower lash line. Now I'm going back in with the bronze shade in the Charlotte Tilbury palette, and I'm using a rephr 26 brush to run along the lower lash line. And these are what the two completed eye looks look like before eyeliner and mascara.
Alright guys, so these were the two looks I created using both face palettes. Drugstore, high-end, Milani, Charlotte Tilbury. What did you think of the looks? Which side do you think looks better, or do you think they totally look the same? Let's start with the bronzer. The bronzer in each palette. I feel like the bronzer over here on the Milani side is a tad bit warmer than what is over here on the Charlotte Tilbury side. I feel like the Charlotte Tilbury is a little bit more of a cool tone bronzer, which I don't mind at all. Now, I have her bronzer, the regular size bronzer, and that one I use in shade 2. And that is a beautiful bronzer. The one that is in this Milani palette, I don't believe I have that one. I do have a matte Milani bronzer that is also kind of similar to the Charlotte Tilbury one because it's also like a cool tone bronzer, and I do enjoy that one as well. I definitely feel that the Milani side is slightly bit more warm toned than the Charlotte Tilbury side, but I had no issues blending either out. I think both sides look pretty good. And the bronzer shade is very complementary for fair to light skin tones. Now, in the Charlotte Tilbury palette, there is a face powder, like a translucent face powder. And I do have the full size, the regular size of that powder, but it's not one of my favorites. I definitely don't like to use it under my eye area. And I don't like to use it like in this area either because that's where it tends to cake up on me. And I have no issues with it like on my nose or my forehead or my chin, but it's this area right here that just doesn't work for me, and so I hardly reach for it. So having it in this palette is a little bit wasted on me just because it's not really something that I enjoy, but you can most definitely use that to powder down your T-zone, maybe to clean up the bronzer if you went in a little too heavy-handed with it, or you can even use it as a brow bone highlight shade or just to kind of clean up the edges of your eyeshadow look. So in that respect, it is a nice thing that they did include, but for me, that it's not really my favorite, it's just like a waste of space for me. Now, as far as the blush goes with both sides, I think they look pretty identical. I will say that the Milani side is more of a matte blush versus the Charlotte Tilbury side where there is a slight bit of sheen to the blush. Not shimmer, not glitter, nothing like that. just a very subtle sheen to it, and I don't mind that at all. I don't mind if my blush has a little bit of shimmer in it, but I think this other blush that is in the Milani palette, I think that's a little bit too much shimmer, and this would be more of like a blush topper slash highlight than an actual blush. And definitely if you have texture on your cheeks, I have large pores and old acne scars, you want to be careful when going in with blush toppers and highlighters, that you don't do too much that is going to accentuate instead of enhance the appearance of the cheekbones. So this one I feel maybe could have been something else, and that's the same way I feel about the face powder in the Charlotte Tilbury palette. Now, as for highlight, the highlight that's in the Milani palette, it's really pretty. I've never had an issue with any Milani highlighters. They're actually some of my favorite. They're really nice, well-performing highlighters, and I feel like this one was fine. It's not anything intense. It's not anything blinding. Although if you do spray it and then apply it, you can definitely get more impact that way. And then I think the one on the Charlotte Tilbury side is really pretty as well. Very subtle, nothing like, you know, blinding, just a nice, soft, subtle highlight. And I think the person that is really going to appreciate these palettes is that individual who doesn't want a dark, deep makeup look, who just wants something simple to wear on an everyday basis, or maybe you're one who really doesn't wear makeup at all, and this is going to be your going out palette. Either one of them would work out great for that. They both contain beautiful, subtle shades that can just enhance your natural beauty. And that is the whole premise behind these palettes, just to enhance your features and let your natural beauty shine through with a little bit of help of sparkle here and there. Now, as far as the eyeshadows go, I had no issues with any of the shadows performance-wise, fallout, although I kind of got a little bit of fallout on the Charlotte Tilbury side, but because the shade is broken, so it's a little bit harder to work with. And if you noticed in the demo, I did spray the brush before I actually picked up the pigment, just so that it could adhere better and then, you know, go on my eye a little bit better. But I really do think that middle shade right here, that middle shimmer shade that I applied on the lid, I think it's really pretty. It's just a shame that it came broken. Likewise on the Milani side, I think they're very similar. This is a little bit more pink tone leaning, as is the entire Milani palette. You definitely get more pink vibes than you do with the Charlotte Tilbury. But at the end of the day, I mean, they both look pretty identical. And I did use the bronzer on this side, on the Milani side, in my crease. And I went in with the deepest shade in the Charlotte Tilbury palette in my crease. So this is pretty much as deep as the Charlotte Tilbury palette is going to go. I mean, you could still keep building up that shade that I used in the crease, but it's not going to get much deeper just because it's not meant to go that deep. And I definitely think you can see on the eyes the difference in the tone. I really do think this is more warm tone and this is a little bit more cool toned. Now, going back to the Charlotte Tilbury palette, there was another shade I didn't use, and it was this one up here. It's more of like a shimmer shade, but I did swatch it on the back of my hand, and it is this shade right here. So that is a shade that could be easily applied all over the eyelid, on the inner corner. I mean, whatever you want to do. You could even use it as a highlighter on your cheekbones. And to complete both looks, I went in with a little bit of this Causemetics eyeliner in the shade Deep Brown. This is just a retractable eyeliner pencil. And then of course I did tell you that I was using my new Thrive mascara, which I think it looks pretty good on my lashes, guys. What do you think? I really enjoyed using it yesterday, and I'm enjoying it right now. For the lower waterline, I went in with this gel eyeliner pencil from Ulta Beauty. This one is in the shade Halo. And these are the looks. Very natural, very simple, but I definitely think they both reflect love and roses and Mother's Day and Valentine's Day. I think they're very romantic, soft romantic looks. And if this is the type of look you enjoy, then you be the judge. Whatever fits in better to your budget, whether you want the $15 Milani palette or you want the $75 little bit of luxury in your life with the Charlotte Tilbury. Performance-wise, you're not going to have an issue with either of them. But either way you go, guys, you'll still be able to achieve very similar looks no matter what you spend. All right, guys, so now it is time for me to hear from you. Which side did you think looked better? Which palette are you more eager to try? Have you already ordered this new one from Charlotte Tilbury? Because I know a lot of you out there have probably already ordered it. Or maybe you're like, no way, I'm sticking to my Milani. Definitely leave it in the comments down below because I would love to hear your thoughts on today's video. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching another one of my videos. You all have a great day or night, wherever it is you all are at. Stay hydrated, guys. Drink your water, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.